All right, Sung, thank you so much for making time for us. And I think this topic comes up a lot. Before we jump into it, I want to ask you, like, what do you do? And also, like, why you do it?
I am a product designer. I have many jobs. Uh, my full-time job is at Amazon, working on auto and the home improvement sector.
Mhm.
And I have a side job, many side jobs. I'm currently working on a project that does refillable cosmetics in UK.
Mhm.
I am working on um, the company that's trying to make the wholesale property buying experience better in Dallas.
Mhm.
And I'm also working on a video storytelling app for seniors, and it's called One Day. It's based in Dallas.
Mhm.
And a couple more things. And I have a startup called Coffee Pass that I'm running with about a team of 12 people.
Oh man, so you have a full-time job, and then you have like 10 different like startups or different like side projects or projects. And then on top of that, you create amazing content on TikTok and like Instagram Reels. So how do you do it? Like, what's your, well, actually, let me back up. I think you got, correct me if I'm wrong, you got into the content creation probably like a year ago, right? Like around the pandemic. Is that kind of like
It
rough?
was like it was like the October of 2019
Mhm.
when Gary Vee was really pushing people to TikTok. And when I created an account,
Mhm.
um, I didn't see any designers at all. Like some people are making some logo designs here, but not many UX UI designers. And then I just saw it as an opportunity to start making content.
Mhm.
Now that there are a bunch of people there that have more followers than I do, that make more consistent content. But in my case, the way I make content is I used to make, set aside like 3 hours a day making content. But
Mhm.
what happened was that I found myself kind of falling behind on my own work, which actually, that if I fall behind on behind on my own work, it kind of decreases value that I bring to the content. So what I decided to do was to simply share, slices of my life as is. So my content's more raw,
Mhm.
off the cuff, not really planned. I'm just sharing with you what's on my head, what I just did earlier today, or what I'm gonna do,
Mhm.
or just showing you my latest work and what happened to it.
Man, that's so cool because I think that's one of the things I realized when I started creating content too. If content creation is a task, it never happens.
Yeah.
Or if you do it, then sometimes you get burned out, right? Because a lot of people send me this question, what type of content do I create? How do I create content consistently? How do I stay consistent? And typically I go towards, if you're thinking of those things, most likely you're trying to go out of your way to create content. You're not really like showing people who you really are or what are different things that you're doing in your day-to-day basis. So that's really like interesting. Was TikTok like the first platform where you kind of wanted to stay create content and stay consistent, or did you create content on other platforms as well?
I made content on actually Instagram first, but Instagram was so slow. Like I was literally begging people to come and look at my content, like it, share it. I would like spam people. It just like it wasn't worth it. And then TikTok came along. I just made content. I just a couple. I mean, at first it was slow too. I was getting 100 views, 1,000 views. That's my first breakout was at maybe like 14,000. Random video that I made about email,
Mhm.
like how to write better email, and that took off. And then next thing you know, I was getting like 100,000. One of my last video that I made during the travel about the glutens and pasta, the issues with the our diet in the U.S. versus Europe. That got like millions of views, and then I came back and made a more video about water quality differences. That got me to like 7 million views or something. So I'm
Wow.
like that. I mean that for 3 weeks I was getting followers like 1,000 followers a day.
Oh wow, that's I think that's another thing that we should point out is TikTok still. I know there's more saturation now and whatnot, but it still has a lot of organic reach. Like if you create good content, right? People, you can get exposed to, and obviously, and if they relate to your content, that's when they will follow you, right?
Yeah.
So their organic reach is still huge on TikTok. So let me ask you this. So I think you probably already kind of mentioned. Do you plan for, like, do you know what's your next piece of content is going to be, or do you sort of like just go do your stuff in your job and then with your projects, and then sort of like decide what you want to share and create content about? What's your sort of like thought process?
Yeah, so literally, if you ask me right now what I'm gonna make a video about today, I have no clue, like literally. So I do have a backlog, just like, managing projects. I have a backlog of ideas I could go to and look at and make a video about,
Mhm.
because I came up with those ideas on other days, but I didn't have to make I didn't have the time to make those videos. So I
Mm.
put them into like my backlog of ideas. So I sometimes go back there and look at it and make a video about it. But what I found out was that once I come up with an idea, I feel like I want to make a video about it.
Mhm.
When I make the video right there and then, the video becomes more passionate. It becomes more real. But
Mm.
then when I put it in a backlog and try to make video about it later,
Mhm.
I've already lost the passion about that idea or thought. Like I'm
Mm.
no longer attached to that thought.
Mm.
So I try to make the video as soon as I come up with the idea, when it's fresh in my mind.
That reminds me what I have like an idea list, right, for TikTok and YouTube, and I used to like add a lot of ideas, but when it comes time to actually make the video, I would never look at the idea list. I'll just have something else in my mind and I'll create content. And then at some point I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop making a list. I'm gonna stop thinking of the ideas, because I think it's probably like different kinds of people. There are people who struggle with what type of ideas or idea generation, but then there's a type of people, I think we're probably the same type, where we have tons of ideas. If we don't act on them now at this moment, we're going to lose them. In the next moment, we're going to have another idea.
A couple of points about that. So regarding idea generation, I think the best way to generate idea is to just start talking, start making videos. The more videos you make, the more feedback you get from people, and the more ideas you get. And it actually kicks something off in your brain. Like once you like generate some ideas and then make videos about it, as you're making the video, it kicks something off in your brain to come up with more ideas.
So,
Either a better way to do it or different things to talk about that's related, something that you forgot about it all comes back to you. And the second thing about that, the idea generation is that, um, I'm getting distracted because my neighbor is literally yelling. I don't know if you could hear it.
I do. Are you back or are you still traveling?
I'm in Seattle right now for about a week, and then I'm gonna go to New York. And then I'm gonna go to Mexico, Tulum for a week.
That's awesome. So is that Mexico to vacation?
Yeah, that's an actual vacation. I literally blocked my calendar at Amazon to just go there and you know get on
So
the beach and get some tan.
yeah, we should expect some songs content with like a beach in the background and like a little.
Washboard apps.
Yeah. That's so cool. How I think another thing is the content, because you're already being consistent with your content, and your content looks really interesting to me. Especially, I think when we had the conversation last time, I said the same thing. When I watch your content, I feel like this is what's happening in Sung's life right now. This is what he's thinking right now, and he's like sort of like documenting. So that like pulls me in, because a lot of time when I watch other people's video, I feel like it's kind of it's planned, it's scripted, and it's so perfect, like all those transitions and everything. When I watch your content, I feel like it's like a reality show, sort of, right? Has that sort of helped you? Actually, before I ask that, because you have a full-time job and you create content, did you ever face any like resistance, or did you have ever any thoughts about, hey, what is my employer gonna think about this? Because a lot of people have jobs, they want to create content, but they feel like, hey, we do not want to do or say anything that's gonna make our employer bad. So did you run into any situation, anything like that?
Yeah, so like one time I was talking about Amazon, and I don't always talk nice things about Amazon either, even though I work for Amazon, which is a risky move.
Mhm.
And one of the girls who worked at Amazon said, "You shouldn't be saying such negative things about Amazon because it makes me feel bad." I'm like, I don't care about how I make you feel. Like I'm just saying what needs to be said.
Mhm.
And on that specific topic, I knew I was right about it. So I actually looked up her ID and found her on the Amazon network. I'm like, I was, and then even though I said what I need to say,
Mhm.
it got me really worried. I'm like, what if it goes to somebody else at Amazon? What if I get in trouble? Like it's, but at the same time, my desire to say what needs to be said is greater than being worried about getting fired.
Yeah, we don't have to go into detail, but was it about that something about the email or like
Oh yeah, yeah. I think one of them was about the Amazon sending out an email to delete TikTok.
got it. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I saw that video too. So I think that's another. What would you say to people? Any thoughts? Any suggestion? Any recommendation? Someone who's in a job and maybe they don't work for Amazon, which is a huge company. They work for a small startup or a small business where everyone knows each other, right? And they all know what they do on their social media accounts. And they want to create content. What sort of like your suggestion and recommendation to someone like that in that situation?
About filtering out and choosing filtering things out and choosing what to say in terms of
Yeah,
content
or
creation.
should they create content or not create content, or should they get a permission, or should they start creating content but be careful what they say about their employers? Like any, I know it's a very tough topic, and a lot of I kind of default towards don't say anything that you would not like if you're among your coworkers and you don't feel safe saying or discussing that topic, then don't say that on your public platforms either, because they might watch it and they might make some opinions about you, and it might put you in a difficult situation at your job, which you may not be ready to leave yet, right? So that's
Yeah.
sort of I default to like towards like being safe or play it safe. Any thoughts from your end?
Yeah, all those things you mentioned goes through my mind and I calculate them in my mind. So at the end of the day, what I want is being able to say what I want and what needs to be said. Of course, I should not be saying, things that I shouldn't be just making things up or I shouldn't be lying. I shouldn't say something that nasty that's inaccurate or things like that. But as long as I'm saying the right things that I believe to be right, as long as I say things that needs to be said as long as it's accurate. It's not mean spirited. I want to believe that I'm working for a company or a client that's okay with that. And maybe if they're not okay with that, maybe they shouldn't be my clients or
Yeah.
the company I work for. That's how I see it in the long term. But in the short term, yeah, like there is things I should not talk about. I avoid talking about. For example, when my developers that I work with fuck up the I guess the UI that I handed off.
Mhm.
Like one time I made a the video about this fucked up UI, the design versus the what's actually produced, developed, and then one of my partners at my startup saw that video. And he was kind of concerned that it would offend the developers, and I agree. And so basically, I started making videos like that. So
Mhm.
sometimes, like you make a video you regret, and you just fix your behavior. Sometimes, like you stick to your gun, like so you pick your battle.
Yep, yep. That's such a good point. Let's talk about because obviously, when you create content, when you put yourself out there, you attract good people and negatives and haters. So, how do you think about that when people are hating on any comments, any negatives? How do you deal with that? How do you kind of think about that?
Oh yeah, so negative comments. Thankfully, I don't get a lot of negative comments, but when I was getting negative comments, not even negative comments, somebody just trolling. I yesterday I made a video about how to work multiple projects, and this one guy was just trolling me. It's like, how do you do that? What do you mean? Like as if my video didn't make sense.
Mm,
So it's like I know better to just ignore it, but then like it just so it's still
yeah.
hanging over my head. I want to reply, but then I know if I reply, I might sound petty, so I don't want to.
Yeah, yeah. I think I've run into the same situation sometimes, something negative, and when I move on, after a while, like it's gone, it disappears. But when I get involved, I always regret it because I'm like that's kind of like messing with the fire or messing because a lot of people they do it on purpose, right? So they don't if someone has a genuine question about how you are doing stuff, they would not leave like a negative comment. They will probably leave a question. And you can tell from their comments if they are being negative or trying to hate, or do they really have a question that I can help with. So yeah, so true. But what about some nice things that have happened? Any from work side, travel side, from creating content? Anything you can share? Any nice things that happened to you, or that's still happening?
Yeah, two of my latest projects, pretty sizable. They came from Instagram and TikTok.
Wow.
So yeah, so the refillable cosmetics company in UK, they actually found me on Instagram, and then the wholesale property website project also came from TikTok as well. So those are actually like funny. They actually happen at the same time. They came to me at the same time. It's like it's weird. Sometimes like all the clients are quiet, and then all of a sudden they decide to all come to me at the same time.
Yeah. So this is such an interesting point, because a lot of time people, and you're not, unless I missed it, when I consume your content, you're not really like pitching or selling anything. You're not saying people to, you just show them who you are. You show your lifestyle, you show your work, you show the thing that you're into, travel and all, and then naturally you attract the right opportunities to you. And some of those seems like they turn into potential income and profits as well.
Yeah, so that's a funny thing. Like if the way I do it, it doesn't get as many or as frequent customer. It doesn't attract as many customers.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones I attract, they're the ones that actually like me for who I am. So
Yep.
they're more likely to stay with me as long as I stay true to myself. But if I create more content that's more like a sales pitch, showing off my design here and there, I'll get more requests.
Mm-hmm.
But they're reaching out to me because of my skills alone, not because of the whole package.
Yeah.
Of course, like if I am, if I have more free time, if I don't get enough projects, I should do that. But right now, I'm being a little more picky. So the way I'm doing it is by simply creating content that I like, and basically the people that come to me are people that I like, or they like my content. That's how I filter out the people that don't match with me.
Yeah, I think that's a huge something that I've observed too, that when people are coming to us or me too based on my personal brand, they really they have a business need too, obviously, but then they're really coming to me because they connect with me, my personality, the way I am online, right? And they're likely to, then the relationship is not just going to be transactional, right? It's way beyond that. Couple last questions, Sung. I know. Thank you so much for making time for us. This is so helpful. And I think big tip you shared was really for me take away, instead of like document, because there's so many things happening in our life. Especially when we are doing stuff. A lot of people in my audience are freelancers, they're consultants, they're agency owners, so they have stuff happening in their life, with their clients, stuff that they're doing in their team, that all could be translated into content. So they don't have to have a separate sort of like a a function or separate task, complicated task of like creating content. So I think what you said about documenting, thinking of an idea and trying to implement, that was huge. Any other sort of like things that you have learned from your content creation journey? Any best practices, any tips that come to mind that you can share with us?
Oh yeah. So one thing I noticed on TikTok is that when you make a video and it starts trending, don't post any more videos. Because I don't know why or how it does it, but it literally just like stops the other video from trending once you post a new video. It's like it takes you out of the trend line, and it just sidetracks you. So yeah, don't do that. So in my mind, there's a video trending, so it's already trending. So I thought just making more videos would get more people to look at my profile, but it didn't work that way. Basically, like however the algorithm works, if I make a video, and it's just like apparently that video that I made that was trending is tied to me, and I belong to a category of some sort. And then when I make a video that's slightly different from the last video, it takes me and the video that was trending out of the trending category and puts them in a different category that where that video would not trend anymore.
Yeah, maybe
That's
we,
how.
yeah, when we post more content, we're probably creating content that competes with trending content,
Yeah.
right? And then maybe that's why kind of you saw that. The last sort of questions. What are your future plans as far as content creation? Seems like you want to continue with this. Any other platforms you want to jump on? Any other content types you want to experiment? What are you thinking as far as the future is?
Yeah, I'm on Clubhouse too. When it first came out, I was like really heavy on it, so I got like almost 1,800 followers there in Clubhouse. But I'm actually gonna use it more of a I guess a Q&A session tool because I get a lot of requests to like mentor people, but then I used to mentor one-on-one, but that's really draining and managing schedule. I can't even do it on the weekends. I used to do it on Saturdays, but I can't do it anymore. It just takes so much time. So I'm just going to set up a dedicated, I guess, office hour on Clubhouse, and people can just find me there and ask me questions because a lot of questions happen to be repetitive. So if I answer once, multiple people can benefit from it.
Yeah, yeah, that's such a yeah. I got in Clubhouse too, but I didn't really. I think I did like one or two rooms, and then I kind of got busy. Definitely, I think audio is seems like really interesting. Twitter is getting into audio. Facebook, Instagram too is they're gonna have audio. LinkedIn too. So it'll be like interesting to
Uh,
see how everything kind of competes with Clubhouse. So, but I think they really launched something that a lot of people wanted in last year, and their growth has been tremendous. So it is yeah, good to see that. Um, Thank you so much, Sung, for making time for us. I want to say, obviously your busy schedule with full-time job, content creation, and your 10 startup projects. So I know you're super, super busy, but thank you so much for making time for us. And we'll have to catch up soon when you're in Mexico, I guess.
are you going to Mexico anytime soon?
No, I'm not, but I might like when you are in Mexico, we might do another like a live session, and that's how we'll get to know like what's happening there.
All right.
All right, all right. Take care, son.
You
Thank you.
too.